have been thousands of COVID cases in schools, daycares, and universities since the pandemic started. That is according to data released from the Florida Department of Health by accident. That data was in this report. The Department of Health has since taken that information down, but what it shows is that the data is available for those places since March. 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus was told by the governor just weeks ago that he did not think that data was being collected, even though the Department of Children and Families confirmed any reported case at a licensed facility had to be reported to DOH. Today, Jennifer asked the governor again about that data.
Also on Monday released was from the Department of Health cases regarding our schools, universities, and child care centers. It came out the day later that I was told that that was released by accident. A few weeks ago, you and I spoke and you told me that you didn't think we were keeping track of those child care cases. That report showed us that it's been tracked since March. Why weren't those numbers released?
I don't think that's true, because I asked about it. I had never seen it before, and this was something that the Surgeon General had asked them to compile. It was not necessarily accurate, and it was not supposed to do that, so they're going through it.
The Florida Department of Health says it's working to verify the data in the initial report and hope to have it released within the coming days.